everybody. Today we're talking with Jake, who looks like Andre Agassi and his real name is George. He was once a backstage bartender and has worked at a car wash. He tried to learn to dance and was once caught in an avalanche while snowboarding. He wishes he was from Austria and loves chocolate ice cream. But today Jake is here to talk to us about Germany. So welcome, Jake.
Hey,
Well,
welcome.
thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me here on the Travel Collective. This is a great experience. I haven't been able to be a tour guide in quite some time. I do own my own travel company here in Bavaria, specializing in tours, outdoor recreation, and team building. And then I have a second business, which is called Bavarian Beer Vacations. Well, that's self-explanatory. Yeah. I've been in Europe for 23 years. I've been in Europe for 23 years. Wow. I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia, back to Louisiana, where I'm from, South Louisiana, where some of the best food in the world comes from. But food couldn't hold me there. So I ended up hopping on a plane and coming to Europe because that's what I truly loved.
Cool.
And especially European history.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
Traveled all over.
Yeah. So let's get the timer started. We have our famous minute timer. And jump in and tell us since you've been in Germany so long, what makes Germany special to you?
Wow. It's interesting. I traveled all over. I was in Austria, Italy, Switzerland, Holland, lived in France for a very short period of time. Of all the places I traveled and lived, for some reason, this little town that I live in today captured my heart, and I just couldn't leave. And the name of the town is Garmisch-Partenkirchen. I know it's fun to say. Yeah. It's right on the border of Germany and Austria, and it's a small little ski town. It's got the tallest mountain in Germany in the backyard. And one of the things that kept me here as an expat living overseas, and any expat can tell you this, you have to get your English fix every now and then. And there's a small American military base in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. And so I could always reach out to them, go have a beer with an American, go watch some American football and, talk about cheeseburgers and how we miss a good one. So that was one part of it. The other part of it is I just adore the Bavarians. They have such a unique way of life. Their culture is very similar to the one that I left. South Louisiana, Cajun culture, this rich heritage. And they both these cultures love beer. And so I was a perfect fit. So, yeah. And so it's also, I eventually married a girl from here. And I've got 2 children. So I've got 2 daughters. And there is no better place to raise a family. The house we live in, I haven't locked the back door since we moved in. There's just no need. And, the only thing that's ever been stolen was a liter of milk. And it was my neighbor. And he left €6 on the table and a note saying he was so sorry. He was so sorry that he knew that I had left the door open, that he needed milk for a recipe. And I was like, don't worry, of course, it's no problem.
That's amazing.
Well, that's not true. Every now and then my brother-in-law comes over and steals a beer, but that's about it.
Wow. That's a whole other thing. So tell us something that surprises other people about Germany, or maybe something that surprised you when you first, got your feet wet there.
Well, Germany isn't Germany. So that's one of the things that's really challenging for people to understand. It was the Holy Roman Empire pretty much until Napoleon. Napoleon destroys the Holy Roman Empire, and then you have this collection of small countries. And then eventually 1871 is the unification of Germany. So prior to that, the Holy Roman Empire, 1,000 years, it was little bitty duchies, little bitty countries. Let's call them countries. And they're very distinct. And the biggest defining moment, similar to our Civil War in America, in Germany or in the Holy Roman Empire, the biggest defining moment was the 30 Years' War. 1618 to 1648. It was that great fight between the Catholics and the Protestants to determine the dominant faith. And nobody won, and 3/4 of the population was killed. But what it did do was it drew that Mason-Dixon line. And so you had the states that decided to become Protestant, to accept the teachings of Martin Luther, and more importantly, to accept his translation of the Bible. And then, or the Gospels. And then you had those that decided to stay Catholic. And what that really did was it shaped their language. So it wasn't until the unification of Germany under Bismarck that you start to see their languages kind of become one. So I always like to use the example that if you were in, let's say, Dresden, and then let me rephrase this. You had somebody from Dresden, you had somebody from Berlin, and you had somebody from Munich. You sat them down at a table and they started talking to each other. The best way to describe that in English is to have a drunk Scottish guy, a drunk Australian, and a drunk guy from Tennessee.
Oh.
And you try and see if those three people can communicate, because that's really what it's like. It's really quite a challenge. I mean, just a simple example is 1 through 10 in German. So we have what's called Hochdeutsch, the very proper German language. And you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just very rigid. Here in Bavaria, because I drink so much beer, it's more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's got a little more of a drawl to it, let's say.
Yeah.
And it's not just language, it's the way that they act. And so every little region of Germany has its own little way that they kind of handle life itself. And the Bavarians, they're more farmers. They're also the wealthiest state in Germany. And they're a little bit, how do I say this? Country, let's say.
Cool.
And when people think of Germany and they think of the Lederhosen and the beer steins and all that stuff, they're not thinking of Germany. They're thinking of here, Bavaria, because this is where the Oktoberfest is held in the city of Munich, where over 1 million people come to drink beer on any given day before COVID-19. Excuse me. And then you have also things like Krampus around here, which are those evil demons that come and beat you in December 5th and 6th.
All right.
Yeah, we go. Yeah. Oh, you got to try it. We call it vacationing with fear. It's a lot of fun.
So before we run out of time, share a couple of the favorite spots that you take friends or family.
No problem. I adore Innsbruck. Innsbruck is a beautiful town. It's one of the oldest settlements we know of. Inns is the name of a river. Brook is the bridge that crosses the river. And there's been a settlement there predating the Romans. And there's a castle there that's called Ambras Palace, Ambras. Worth the stop. The castle that's there has been there since the time of the Andechs family. So you're talking like the 11th century. And then eventually the Habsburgs went in and they took it over during the time of Frederick. And it's just a beautiful little castle up on a hill. And inside of it, you have the hall of it, this hall of oddities. And it's worth a visit. And then one of my second favorite places would have to be the small villages between Munich and Innsbruck. And you have to go see Andechs Monastery. I was thinking of the different church. You have Andechs Monastery, which is a really cool church, which is also a brewery. So if you like beer, they have really, really good beer. And they have this beautiful beer garden that overlooks this beautiful lake. And then another place is the village of Murnau, which is where Kandinsky began Expressionism. So it's just a beautiful little town. I know my time's up, but definitely go to Murnau, go to Innsbruck, go to Andechs, and go to Berchtesgadener Land, Berchtesgaden. And I'll stop.
That's wonderful, Jake. I know we're making some notes there.
Yeah, exactly.
I can see April writing things down.
Scribbling things down.
Yeah.
So definitely Berchtesgaden, Salzburg. If you have time, Salzburg is an amazing town. It's one of my all-time favorites. It was controlled by the Catholic Church until the time of Napoleon. So there's a ton of wealth. Salzburg means salt. So salt mountain, salt city. Yeah. All around it is littered the salt mines. The most famous being the one that's in Berchtesgaden and the one that's right across the way, which sadly, I can't remember the name of it, but that salt mine, the one just on the other side of the hill that's in Austria, across from Berchtesgaden, is where they just recently found Celtic salt miners, predating the time of the Romans, still in their original Celtic clothing with these little Smurf hats. It was really crazy.
That's the place that has the little huts over a lake or something, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So you have Berchtesgadener Land, and then right across the border is the Tyrolean salt mine. I'm having a hard time remembering right now. As I said earlier, I haven't been a tour guide in quite some time, but Berchtesgadener is also worth a stop. And if you come for December 5th and December 6th, Berchtesgaden has the best all-time Krampus marches and Krampus laughs in the world. But I do warn you, they have these whips and they will beat you. They physically beat you as they parade through the town. Okay. And so basically you're in this gorgeous Christmas market, you're drinking your hot mulled wine, you got your jacket on, and then you hear these cowbells. And then you suddenly look around and everybody's running. I'm talking like hundreds of people just running. And you're like, something's wrong. This isn't supposed to. It's because I'm a foreigner. Did I put deodorant on? And then all of a sudden here come these Krampus. And they're just in these big cowbells. And they have this fur covered bodies. And they have these scary masks. And they have these whips. And they just go whipping people as they go through the streets. And yeah, it is truly frightening. And I take a group of people there every year, and it is also amazingly fun because you've never experienced anything like it in your life. And they have a great salt mine tour there as well, and a great brewery, the Hofbrau brewery that's in Berchtesgaden. So highly recommend it. And then Salzburg, if you're there, Hohensalzburg fortification, take the time. If you're a foodie, Salzburg has one of the best Michelin star restaurants in the world.
Fantastic.
The owner of, and it's in an airport. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Airport. Exactly. Yeah, that is crazy.
So the owner of Red Bull, he's from Salzburg, and he moved the headquarters for Red Bull to the city of Salzburg when he bought the rights to produce this energy drink from a guy in China. And he had a lot of airplanes. So he bought an airplane hangar at the airport in Salzburg. They got mad at him because he was landing these very loud jets and all this kind of stuff. So he just bought the whole airport. Then he took one airplane hangar and he turned it into a place to keep his favorite toys. And he's a foodie, and he watches the same TV shows that we watch on Netflix and other programs about food. And every time he saw a chef he liked, he's like, hey, I got a restaurant in an airplane hangar. I want you to come cook for a month there. And every month it's a new person. Chef. Oh my gosh. And he's got this wonderful cookbook that he has at the airplane hangar. It's called Red Bull Hangar. Just look up Red Bull Hangar in Salzburg and you'll find it. And getting a dinner reservation there can be tricky. So if you're coming to Salzburg, definitely get the dinner reservation in advance. Okay. Or go for lunch. The lunch menu is exquisite, and you don't need a reservation, and it's half the cost. And it's
that's wonderful. A good tip. That's a great tip. Yeah.
Also, when you come to Salzburg, there is something that everybody has to do when you go to Salzburg. You have to go see a Mozart concert. Okay. And there's two places to do it. You can go to St. Peter's, which is it's one of the oldest restaurants in all of Austria and all of Southern Europe. In fact, St. Peter's claims the restaurant that Charlemagne ate there. We're talking about, that's 800s, this is 800 Charlemagne. Oh, let me get a steak. So the second place is called Hohensalzburg Fortification. Salzburg, the city, is dominated by this big castle on top of a hill. That's Hohensalzburg, and it's amazing. Oh, wow. And they do evening Mozart concerts in the throne room of the Archbishop of Salzburg. Wow. When you go there, what you're going to want to do, this is a really fun thing to do, even if you just go for the daytime tour, it's the last room on the tour, is the throne room. And they have these beautiful marble pillars throughout the entire room. Walk around. The tour guides don't tell you this, but walk around and you will find that one of those pillars is missing a huge chunk from a cannonball. The war was called the Bauernkrieg, all part of the Protestant Reformation. And the farmers got a hold of a cannon. They got one lucky shot that went through the window and hit a marble pillar and landed right in front of the throne of the Archbishop. Oh, wow. Luckily, he wasn't on the throne, but you can still see that hole in the pillar. It's still there today. Really cool.
That's cool. This is amazing, Jake. You've given us so many things.
Oh, no, this is fabulous. Oh, my God.
Oh, no worries. No problem. Well, I didn't even get to tell you about my $2,000, well, actually $3,000 pants, €2,000 euro pants. I think they're actually, I paid 2,400 euros. They're shorts. They're not even pants. I only got half of them. So let me back up and I'll give you guys a look.
What the
This is a pair of, oops, can you guys see?
Oh, yeah.
This is a pair of Lederhosen. Lederhosen, also with, of course, the very famous calf sock.
There you
go. And Lederhosen, it's traditional Tyrolean and Bavarian attire. It goes back to the farmers. The farmers, they didn't have a whole lot of money, so they would oftentimes kill a cow or go up hunting and kill a deer and make a pair of shorts or a pair of pants out of it.
That's all they could.
Sure, why not?
Sure,
that's all I got, yeah.
That's all it'll cover.
Leather pants. Those are,
Oh my gosh.
So what then happens is you've got the middle of the 1800s, you've got a king by the name of Maximilian. His father gets deposed for having this very seeded relationship with a burlesque dancer by the name of Lola Montez, which you guys know the song, What Lola Wants, Lola Gets? Is it Barry Manilow? Yeah. It's from that moment in history. It was Ludwig I, very famous king. He has a relationship with Lola Montez. The college kids rise up against him and he gets deposed. Well, the college kids were rising up because they've been reading Karl Marx. And they thought, well, this is a good idea. We're going to support Karl Marx's theory and give the peasant class basically a voice within the government. Well, Ludwig gets deposed. His son Maximilian II takes over and decides these are college kids. They're not the voice of the peasants. They're not the voice of the poor. These are the children of the rich. And so very wisely, he kind of went around them. And the first thing he did was he put on the clothing of the poor. And that's when Lederhosen becomes a fashion statement. And like all fashion, it comes into style, goes out of style. And today it's very much in style. And so like the ones I have on, yeah, these are 2,400 euro pants. This is made from wild mountain goat. And you, let's see if I can show you, but it actually does have a bullet hole from a pellet right there.
Oh my God,
right there.
That's amazing.
From where they shot the poor mountain goat, turned him into my shorts.
Dear. Oh my God.
So there we go.
Wow. I think that's our 7 minutes.
Yes. A while ago.
Oh, I didn't even hear it go off. I was
just
so caught up in the whole Lederhosen and the beer and the castles and everything.
I tried to talk fast to keep it within the 7 minutes. And I didn't even get to tell you about the great story. I didn't even get to tell you about the great story of the calf warmers. Next time. I'll have to come back on the podcast.
You're gonna have to come back, and you got to come to our coffee chats. We do twice a month. It's open to travelers around the world. So thank you, Jake, again for sharing about Germany. I'm excited to hear more. And if anyone's looking to go to Germany, Jake's links will be in the description. Cindy and I also have a new question and answer series. So if you've got questions for us, check the link and we'll try to answer them and travel with us through real stories from real people like Jake. Thanks a lot, Jake.
Thanks for having me, guys. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.